storm came rolling in before the sun went down. It shook the walls I'd built and tried to take me to the ground. Every wind that hit the structure of the life I thought I'd made showed me I'd been building on a foundation made of shade. So I dug down past the topsoil of my pride and past the clay. Past the gravel of my failures till I hit the rock that stays. And I planted both my feet where no tempest could move me. On the solid rock of Calvary, where grace runs deep and free. Planted on the rock, planted on the rock. Let the storm come howling, I will not be shook. Planted on the rock, on the rock. I've been rooted in the blood and in the holy book. The enemy can send his wind and send his rain and send his night, but I'm planted on the rock and standing in the light. I was running through the desert when the sandstorm hit my face. Every grain of sand a reminder of my fall from grace. But the chain breaker came and showed me where to plant my feet, on a rock that bore my ransom, on a hill called Mercy Street. Planted on the rock, planted on the rock. Let the storm come howling, I will not be shook. Planted on the rock, planted on the rock. I've been rooted in the blood and in the holy book. The enemy can send his wind and send his rain and send his night, but I'm planted on the rock and standing in the light. Planted on the rock. I won't move, I won't move. This rock is Calvary and the blood is I won't move, I won't move. Planted on the rock and covered in His truth. Planted on the rock, planted on the rock. I heard His voice come rolling through the prison where I stayed. Every wall I'd built from sorrow slowly started to fade. The chains I wore had rusted from the years I'd carried them. The chain breaker was coming, and he'd come to break again. He didn't stand outside and holler from a comfortable place. He walked right through the iron, and he met me face to face. Said, son, I know the weight of every link you've been assigned. I wore the cross of Calvary so you'd leave these chains behind. Chain breakers call, chain breakers call, echoing through every prison, every wall. Chain breakers call, chain breakers call. Every link is snapping when he walks into the hall. The blood he shed on Calvary still speaks above the noise, and every chain falls silent at the chain breaker's voice. Oh, chain breakers call, setting every captive free. I had stood inside the courtroom of my own condemning mind. The accuser played the footage of the life I'd left behind. But the Lamb walked in and covered every entry with His blood, and the chain breaker's verdict was redemption wrapped in love. Chain breakers call, chain breakers call, echoing through every prison, every wall. Chain breakers call, chain breakers call. Every link is snapping when he walks into the hall. The blood he shed on Calvary still speaks above the noise, and every chain falls silent at the chain breaker's voice. Oh, chain breakers call, setting every captive free. Break him down, break him down. Every chain the enemy wrapped around this soul. Break him down, break him down. Chain breakers calling, and I'm finally whole. Chain breakers call, chain breakers call. I came to a crossroads at the breaking of the night. Every road behind me bleeding wrong from every right. I had worn my shoes down to the bone, on gravel and on clay, and I stood there at the crossroads with no strength to walk away. Then mercy pulled up slow beside me in the dark. Didn't ask a single question, just reached into my heart. Said, son, I've been here waiting at this crossroads all along, and the road you couldn't find was where my grace had been the whole time strong. Mercy at the crossroads, mercy at the crossroads, when I had no direction left to go. Mercy at the crossroads, mercy at the crossroads. Calvary had already paid the toll. The accuser had my record, but the judge had shut the case. And mercy met me at the crossroads, face to face. Mercy at the crossroads, leading me back home. My engine had run cold on every road I tried to take. Every map I drew myself just led me to mistake. But the Spirit led the highway where the crossroads met the dawn. And the mercy that was waiting there had been there all along. Mercy at the crossroads, mercy at the crossroads, when I had no direction left to go. Mercy at the crossroads, mercy at the crossroads. Calvary had already paid the toll. The accuser had my record, but the judge had shut the case. And mercy met me at the crossroads, face to face. Mercy at the crossroads, leading me back home. Turn around, turn around, turn around. Mercy's been here waiting on this ground. Turn around, turn around, turn around. Grace is at the crossroads to be found. Mercy at the crossroads, mercy at the crossroads. I was cracked earth underneath a sky that wouldn't break. Every prayer I lifted felt like dust before it made. My soul had gone so dry I couldn't tell the night from day. Just a hollow chest of bones beneath the burning clay. Then the thunder of his presence rolled across the field, and the first drop hit the desert like a broken vessel healed. Living water came in waves I had no category for. And the soaking ground beneath my feet remembered who it's for. Soaking ground, soaking ground. Every dry place drinking in what the Spirit pours. Soaking ground, soaking ground. Calvary's rain is falling and it's turning me around. The great physician found me in the field and spoke me whole. Now the soaking ground is singing deep inside my soul. Soaking ground, drinking glory. Soaking ground, drinking glory. Soaking ground. I had carried drought inside my bones for far too long. Every well I dug ran empty, every hymn forgot its song. But the chain breaker came walking through the desert where I lay. And the soaking ground received the rain of Calvary that day. Soaking ground, soaking ground. Every dry place drinking in what the Spirit pours. Soaking ground, soaking ground. Calvary's rain is falling and it's turning me around. The great physician found me in the field and spoke me whole. Now the soaking ground is singing deep inside my soul. Soaking ground, drinking gold. Soaking ground, drinking ground. Soaking ground. Oh, let it pour, 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 let it pour. Soaking ground, soaking ground, soaking ground. He came into the courtroom with a briefcase full of shame. Had photographs of every road and every time I fell from grace. Laid him on the table with a satisfied disguise. Said, Your Honor, this man standing here is nothing but his lies. I had nothing in my hands to counter what he showed. No defense, no alibi, just the wreckage of my road. But the Lamb stood up from silence and he walked across the floor. And he laid his scars upon the evidence and said, This case is yours no more. The accuser lost, the accuser lost. Every charge he filed got covered by the cross. The accuser lost, the accuser lost. Calvary's blood paid every debt and paid the cost. The judge slammed down the gavel and the courtroom shook with grace. The record of my failures was erased without a trace. The accuser lost the moment Jesus took my place. He tried to bring a briefcase back on dark and sleepless nights, slipping photographs beneath the door and whispering his rights. But the verdict had been sealed inside the book of Calvary's Hill, and the blood that paid my ransom paid it permanent and still. The accuser lost, the accuser lost. Every charge he filed got covered by the cross. The accuser lost, the accuser lost. Calvary's blood paid every debt and paid the cost. The judge slammed down the gavel and the courtroom shook with grace. The record of my failures was erased without a trace. The accuser lost the moment Jesus took my place. Oh, case closed, case closed. The blood of Jesus sealed it long ago. Case closed, case closed. I walk out of this courtroom free to go. The accuser lost. The accuser lost. The accuser lost. I had been a beast of burden on a road that had no end. Every stone I carried had a story and a sin. My shoulders had forgotten what it felt like to be straight, and my knees kept hitting gravel underneath the weight. Then the chain breaker came walking up the hill I couldn't climb. Said, son, put down every stone and leave them all behind. He took them one by one and threw them in the river deep below. And I stood up straight for the first time since I let the darkness grow. Nothing left to carry, nothing left to carry. Every burden swallowed by the mercy river wide. Nothing left to carry, nothing left to carry. Calvary took the weight and threw my stones aside. The ledger had been mounted, but the Lamb had paid it clean. And I walked away from Calvary with nothing in between. Nothing left to carry, nothing left to carry home. I had stood before the mirror with a stranger in my place. Every stone I'd carried carved his signature on my face. But the great physician laid his hands on everything I wore, and the man inside the mirror didn't carry stones no more. Nothing left to carry, nothing left to carry. Every burden swallowed by the mercy river wide. Nothing left to carry, nothing left to carry. Calvary took the weight and threw my stones aside. The ledger had been mounted, but the Lamb had paid it clean. And I walked away from Calvary with nothing in between. Nothing left to carry, nothing left to carry home. Put it down, put it down. Every stone the enemy piled on your ground. Put it down, put it down. Mercy's at the river and it's glory bound. Nothing left to carry, nothing left to carry. Followed every tributary down a road that ran too shallow. Every stream I chased had promises but left me dry and hollow. I was wading through the shallows of a faith I couldn't keep, till somebody told me about a river running deep. I walked down to the bank and laid my burdens on the shore. The enemy came screaming that I'd been this way before, but I stepped into the current where the living waters flow, and the river of forgotten things took everything below. Where the river runs deep, where the river runs deep, where the river runs deep, where the river runs deep. Every chain and every shadow sinks beneath where the river runs deep, where the river runs deep. Calvary carved this river so my soul could finally breathe. I threw my tattered record in and watched it disappear. Where the river runs deep, there is nothing left to fear. Where the river runs deep, where the river runs deep. My ledger had been heavy with the ink of wasted years, every entry that the enemy had filed through my tears. But the blood of Calvary had been flowing long before, and the river ran so deep it swallowed everything I bore. Where the river runs deep, where the river runs deep, where the river runs deep, where the river runs deep. Every chain and every shadow sinks beneath where the river runs deep, where the river runs deep. Calvary carved this river so my soul could finally breathe. I threw my tattered record in and watched it disappear. Where the river runs deep, there is nothing left to fear. Where the river runs deep, deep, where the river runs deep. Go deeper, go deeper. Let the current take you where the mercy flows. Go deeper, go deeper. Where the river runs deep. Go deeper, go deeper. Where the river runs deep. Only glory grows where the river runs deep, where the river runs deep. I stood beside a fire in the cold and turned away. 3 times I heard my own voice say I never knew his name. The rooster split the darkness and his eyes found mine across the crowd, and I wept until the morning swallowed up my shame out loud. I had been so sure my love was stronger than the night, that no storm could make me stumble, and no fear could kill my light. But the weakness in my marrow showed itself before the dawn, and I walked into the shadows thinking everything was gone. Yeah, before the rooster crows, before the rooster crows, every man discovers what his courage really knows. Before the rooster crows, before the rooster crows, grace was already waiting. He saw me in my failing, and he loved me just the same. And he called me back to purpose before morning came. Before the rooster crows. He met me by the water after everything had cleared. Didn't bring the fire back up, didn't make me feel the fear. Just asked me 3 times over if I loved him in the deep, and 3 times gave me something broken men were meant to keep. Before the rooster crows, every man discovers what his courage really knows. Before the rooster crows, grace was already waiting at the bottom of my lows. He saw me in my failing, and he loved me just the same. And he called me back to purpose before morning came. Before the rooster crows. Do you love me? Do you love me? Even after everything you've seen me do. Do you love me? Do you love me? Then feed my sheep and I'll take care of you. Before the rooster crows, grace was already there. Before the rooster crows. Before the rooster crows. I took my portion, I spent it on the wing. Traded everything inheritance could give for foreign sin. Ended up among the swine on someone else's land, with the smell of my decisions on my face and on my hands. I rehearsed the speech I'd give by walking home in shame. Practiced every word of how I beg to bear a servant's name. But before I reached the day, I saw him running through the field, and the Father broke my rehearsal with a love I couldn't feel. Prodigal dust, prodigal dust, rising off the road of every wrong that broke my trust. Oh, prodigal dust, prodigal dust. The Father saw me coming, and he ran through all of it. He didn't ask a question, didn't wait for my address, just wrapped the robe around the wreckage of my best. Oh, prodigal dust, becoming something glorious. The older brother stood outside and couldn't understand how a son who wasted everything could dare sit father's hand. But the Father said this boy of mine was dead and now he breathes. And the feast was never about the sword, it's always been about the peace. Prodigal down, prodigal dust, rising off the road of every wrong that broke my trust. Oh, prodigal dust, prodigal dust. The Father saw me coming and he ran through all of it. Oh, he didn't ask the question, didn't wait for my address, just wrapped the robe around the wreckage of my best. Prodigal dust, there coming something glorious. He's running, long before you reach the gate, he's on his way. He's running, the Father never stopped watching for that baby. Prodigal dust, rising into glory. There's a garden where the darkness pressed so heavy on his soul, where the cup before him trembled and the price was taken toll. His disciples fell to sleeping when he needed them awake, and he sweat like drops of crimson for the sinners like me he'd take. He could have called 10,000 angels down to end it all, could have walked away from Calvary and let the darkness fall. But he pressed his face into the ground and said, not my will, but yours. And the garden of his surrender opened up redemption's doors. Gethsemane ground, Gethsemane ground, where the Son of God knelt down so I could be found. Gethsemane ground, Gethsemane ground. The greatest act of love was won without a sound. He didn't pray to be delivered from the cross that bore my name. He prayed for strength to carry it and love me just the same. Gethsemane ground, where my freedom was found. When I kneel inside my garden of impossible and hard, when the cup before me trembles and my spirit's battle scarred, I remember what he whispered in the olive trees that night, and I press my face into the ground and trust the Father's right. Gethsemane ground, Gethsemane ground, where the Son of God knelt down so I could be found. Gethsemane ground, Gethsemane ground. The greatest act of love was one without a sound. He didn't pray to be delivered from the cross that bore my name, babe. He prayed for strength to carry it and love me just the same. Gethsemane ground, where my freedom was found. Not my will, not my will. Let the Father's purpose be fulfilled. Not my will, not my will. Gethsemane ground makes every valley still. Gethsemane ground, where love knelt down. We were all walking from Jerusalem with nowhere left to go. Everything we built our hope on had been swallowed by the cold. 3 days in the tomb had silenced every dream we thought we had. And we walked the road to Emmaus, broken, empty and sad. A stranger fell and stepped beside us on the dusty road. Started opening the scriptures like he'd always known our Lord. Our hearts began to burn inside with a fire we couldn't name, till he broke the bread at supper and we recognized his face. Emmaus Road, Emmaus Road, where the risen King walks beside the broken and the cold. Emmaus Road, Emmaus Road. He's been walking with you through the story you've been told. You thought the tomb had ended everything the Father had begun, but he's breaking bread beside you, and the journey's not yet done. Emmaus Road, he's walking with you still. There are days I leave my Jerusalem in grief and disbelief, when the answers that I prayed for left me stranded in the street. But a presence falls beside me that I sometimes fail to see, till he breaks the bread of morning and my burning eyes are free. Emmaus Road, Emmaus Road, where the risen King walks beside the broken and the cold. Emmaus Road, Emmaus Road. He's been walking with you through the story you've been told. You thought the tomb had ended everything the Father had begun, but he's breaking bread beside you, and the journey's not yet done. Emmaus Road, he's walking with you still. Stay with us, stay with us. The day is far spent and the night is coming on. Stay with us, stay with us. the bread again and let us know we're not alone. Emmaus Road, he's walking with me still. They were hiding behind locked doors, with fear pressed through the walls. 10 days of waiting on a promise, echoing through the halls. The world outside had crucified the one they thought would reign, and the upper room was heavy with the silence of their pain. Then a sound came like a rushing wind that filled the entire place, and a fire sat on every head and every frightened face. And the ones who hid in silence stumbled out into the street, speaking glory in the languages of everyone they'd meet. Upper room, where the frightened became fearless in the fire of afternoon. Upper room, where the Holy Ghost came falling like a heavenly typhoon. They went in as broken people hiding from the world outside. They came out as burning witnesses that nothing could divide. Upper room, where ordinary people touch the divine. Upper room, ooh, oh, oh, oh. Upper room, oh, upper room, oh, upper room. I have sat inside my upper room with doors locked tight with dread, waiting on a promise that I wasn't sure was said. But the rushing wind don't ask for courage before it fills a space. It just breaks into the hiding and replaces fear with grace. Say upper room, where the frightened became fearless in the fire of afternoon. Upper room, where the Holy Ghost came falling like a heavenly typhoon. They went in as broken people hiding from the world outside. They came out as burning witnesses that nothing could divide. Upper room, where ordinary people touch the divine. Come rushing, fill this upper room with everything you are. Ooh. Come rushing, set this frightened soul on fire like a star. Upper room, let the fire fall. Upper room. She came to the prophet with a debt she couldn't pay. creditor was coming, and her sons would be taken away. All she had inside the house was one small jar of oil, and the emptiness of everything had driven her to toil. The prophet said, go borrow every vessel you can find. Close the door behind you, and don't leave a single one behind. She poured and kept on pouring till the last container filled, and the oil never stopped until every day was stilled. The widow's oil, the widow's oil. When you think you have nothing left to give, the widow's oil, the widow's oil. God multiplies a little so the broken ones can live. Close the door and keep on pouring everything you have inside. He fills the empty vessels till there's nowhere left to hide. The widow's oil never runs dry. I have stood inside my kitchen with one jar left on the shelf, too ashamed to call the prophet, trying to fix it by myself. But the God who filled her vessels in a house with doors shut tight is the same God pouring glory through the cracks of my dark night. The widow's oil, the widow's oil, the widow's oil, the widow's oil. When you think you have nothing left to give, widow's oil, the widow's oil, the widow's oil. God multiplies a little so the broken ones can live. Close the door and keep on pouring everything you have inside. He fills the empty vessels till there's nowhere left to hide. The widow's oil never runs dry. Keep pouring, keep pouring. There are vessels still remaining to be filled. I booked a passage going opposite to where he said to go. Paid my fare and found a corner in the hull down below. Thought if I could just outrun the calling on my life, I'd find a quieter harbor and escape the coming strife. But the storm that arose around the ship was personal and wide, and I knew the sea was angry from the running deep inside. When they threw me to the water, something swallowed me alive, and I prayed from the belly of my choices to survive. Jonah's well, Jonah's well. God will meet you in the belly of the road you chose to sail. Jonah's well, Jonah's well. Even in the deep end of your running, he won't fail. 3 days in the darkness of the consequence I made. Couldn't drown the voice of mercy, and I couldn't be afraid. Jonah's well brought me back to where I should have stayed. Ooh, ooh. I have run from every Nineveh that God has placed in sight. Booked my passage into Tarshish in the comfortable and bright. But the whale of my own choosing always spits me on the shore, right back at the calling I was trying to ignore. Jonah's well, Jonah's well. God will meet you in the belly of the road you chose to sail. Jonah's well, Jonah's well. Even in the deep end of your running, he won't fail. 3 days in the darkness of the consequence I made. Couldn't drown the voice of mercy, and I couldn't be afraid. Jonah's well brought me back to where I should have stayed. Ooh, ooh. You can't outrun, you can't outrun the calling that the Father placed before you was begun. You can't outrun, you can't outrun. The well of grace will bring you back until His will is done. Jonah's well brought me home. Ooh, Jonah's well, ooh, Jonah's well. Ooh. He wrestled through the darkness with a stranger in the night. Every muscle screaming, but he wouldn't let go of the fight. The stranger touched his hip and something shifted in the bone. But Jacob kept on holding, saying, I won't leave this alone. I will not let you go until you bless me where I stand. I have limped through every valley with my future in your hand. The wound you gave me changed my name and changed my walk and changed my way, but I carry it as glory from the night that turned to day. Jacob's limp, Jacob's limp. Some blessings only come through wrestling in the dark. Jacob's limp, Jacob's limp. God will touch the strongest place and leave His holy mark. I came out of that struggle with a different name and stride. The limp I carry testifies to where I met Him in the night. Jacob's limp is how I know that God showed up and fought. There are nights I spend in wrestling with a promise unfulfilled, when the blessing feels so distant and my spirit won't be still. But I'm learning that the struggle is the pathway to the name, and the one who leaves me limping is the one who took my shame. Oh, Jacob's limp.
Jacob's limp.
Some blessings only come through wrestling in the dark. Oh, Jacob's limp.
Jacob's limp.
God will touch the strongest place and leave his holy mark. I came out of that struggle with a different name and stride. The limp I carry testifies to where I met him in the night. Jacob's limp is how I know that God showed up and fought. Ooh, don't let go, don't let go. Even when the darkness touches what you thought was strong. Oh, don't let go, don't let go. The blessings in the wrestling and the night won't last that long. Jacob's limp.
Jacob's limp.
Here's my testimony.